to imagine an event like today. The challenges that this community, that many of them have chosen to come and live in this country, to live in the city because actually it was a great place to live. And that community also reconciling themselves. We've got a lot of support mechanisms in place, including a lot of leaders from the Muslim community. It's really important that we're working with and liaising really appropriately with the families. But it's just hard to fathom what so many of them will be going through today and over the coming weeks. It's just it's going to require a lot of support.
The city's going to require a lot of support too, isn't it? Because this is another example of all the things you take for granted about the place where you live being shattered in some way or other. And we were talking with Leanne Dalzell before about the city's resilience and how we celebrated it, but actually you can only do so much resilience before you begin to crumple. So I was speaking to Philip Bagshaw before, and he said we had great councillors coming in from throughout New Zealand in 2010-11. Will you be asking for that kind of assistance again?
We will be, but I think it's also really important that there will be part of our community needing quite extensive support, again, the communities. But I think what's also really important is that we don't over-medicalise what are normal, natural human emotions, kind of fear, terror, sadness and grief, all of those sort of things. And kind of after the earthquakes, one of the things that was really important there was actually it was years after where in fact the need for counsellors and others became much more apparent. So there's a danger of kind of responding and reacting too quickly for what is going to be quite a long, kind of a long journey for parts of our community.
David Mate, CEO of the Canterbury DHB, I know your teams are doing amazing work in there. Thank you on behalf of everyone. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate you joining us this evening. And I'll let you wander off back to your teams. Thank you so much. We're very grateful. David Mate, so you would have heard David say that there have been 12 surgical theatres working non-stop since the first victims started coming in. Extraordinary work, extraordinarily stressful work, because these are lives that they are trying to save in circumstances that they could not possibly imagine when they left home for work today, Hilary. And I guess some of them were called in urgently. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Actually, it's funny, when you were reading the numbers before, because we've been travelling from one location to the other, I hadn't heard the latest numbers.
I know.
They're just appalling, aren't they?
It is. I mean, like all other New Zealanders tonight, we are both absolutely gobsmacked. We cannot believe it. And as I think of what an incredible job everyone in our hospitals does, from the surgeons to the doctors and the nurses and everyone around them, and you think that so many of these people, much like the emergency services, were the same people that have been caring for the city over such an awful last 8 years. I mean, they were the first responders and the people who tended to the critically wounded 8 years ago. And here they are doing the same all over again during an event that was not a natural disaster, that, as you pointed out before, was not accidental, but planned and calculated and cruel.
And hateful. And if we go back to the work they did, for example, with the CTV victims in February 2011, and on that day they were working to save lives that night and then the next day, and of course some of them didn't go home and didn't even know what their homes were like. So these are people who have been exhausted by the past few years, and this so profoundly adds insult to injury. It is such a cruel, grotesque, appalling act. And you can't be here tonight without feeling how hurt this city is. And I know everyone who's watching will be sending all the aroha they have, and by golly, Christchurch needs it.
It does. And, you know, we've all had a lesson in how hatred grows among us in ways that we could never have imagined to. And I think that is equally as shocking.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very quiet here, Hilary, and the city is very, very quiet. We're driving from the Canterbury, the Christchurch Art Gallery where we were before to here. You don't pass a single car. Nothing is open. It's Friday night and there is no one out. And this is a city taking stock of something grotesque and appalling. And boy, it's a tough night, and there'll be tough days ahead.
But we will stand with Christchurch, and we will stand with the Muslim community too.